If you could teach guys like one thing or two things about women, what would it be? What would you tell them?
Don't chase. Don't chase. And don't be afraid of rejection. You know, don't be afraid of rejection. I guess, like, my strategy in college would be every time I would see a hot girl, I'd just go up and talk to her. I didn't care if it was in a fucking grocery store, if it was in a library. Like, if I saw a girl that I found attractive, I would just go talk to her. And I wouldn't go up and say, oh, I think you're beautiful and all that cheesy bullshit. I would just go talk to her about whatever. Like, didn't matter. Just have a conversation with her. See where it went, you know? Sometimes it didn't go anywhere. Sometimes they wouldn't want to give you the time of day. Sometimes you'd have a casual conversation, lead nowhere. But at the end of the day, because I did that, it would just make me more comfortable talking to girls. And it was just kind of a numbers game. So I had, you know, pretty great success. And, you know, I always use the example of my one buddy who was like real conservative, who would only talk to a girl that he knew like really liked him. And, you know, so maybe he would like talk to 2 girls and he would sleep with both of those girls. And I would talk to 100 girls and maybe I'd sleep with 4 of them. But at the end of the day, like, he's batting 1,000, but I'm still fucking twice as many girls as him. So it's like one of those things where I just, you know, I would just put in the time and I would just interact with tons of girls. And now I realize that a better strategy, if you can do it, a lot of guys don't really have their life set up to do it, is set up your life to where the girls have to come to you. And so you don't have to pursue them. And when you don't have to pursue them, like I said earlier, you know, just the dynamic is different when they're chasing you as opposed to you chasing them.
And everyone has more fun.
Yeah, I mean, it's, you know, it's better for the girl because then when she finally sleeps with you, she feels like she accomplished something. And, you know, and she's like kind of worked for it, so she's a little bit invested. And if you hook up with her, it's because, you know, you've chosen to hook up with her and not because you were chasing something, you know. So I think it's better for both people, actually.
Do you think we'll see more like Dan Bilzerian type scenarios in the future where, you know, there's a guy and lots of women?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of people that are like trying to like copy what I'm doing. I don't know how effective they're going to be at it, but you know, there's what, 8 billion people in the world. I'm sure somebody's gonna be able to pull it off at some point. It's not easy. I mean, I'm in a very lucky situation. And I say lucky not because like I didn't work hard to get where I'm at, but because there's just definitely a degree in luck and, you know, super successful people. I mean, you have to be at the right time at the right place and then figure out a way to capitalize on that. A lot of people are given an opportunity and they squander it. But, you know, poker, for instance, like I got into poker at the right time, the right place. And I put in the fucking hours. I mean, you know, the 10,000 hours theory, I logged my 10,000 hours. I paid my dues, playing 18 hours a day, fucking 6-7 days a week, pissing on the laptop while I'm playing 10 fucking tables at a time and, you know, doing all that. And it paid off, you know. There was a grind and it sucked, but then I made a bunch of money and, you know, and I used that money to, you know, hire a bunch of staff, and now I've got, I don't know, I think I have like 90-something people working for me. So, you know, I don't have to spend any time going grocery shopping. I don't make my bed. I don't wash my clothes. I don't, you know, do any of that stuff. So all the time that I spend is on business or hanging out with girls or hanging out with friends or traveling or doing things that I want to do. So I really don't spend any time doing things that I don't want to do. And so I would say that I've lived like 10 lifetimes at least of like a normal person, just because I haven't, like, if you look at a normal person, they spend, you know, 40 hours a week working plus the commute and this and that. And so of their usable time, if you subtract out the 8 hours a day that they sleep and take a shower and take a shit and brush their teeth, like all this stuff that like they have to do, right? Like how much of their day is actually usable? And then of that day, like how much of that are they spending going to work, doing something that isn't anything that they really want to do? Like maybe they're sorting mail, or they're doing TPS reports, or they're fucking flipping burgers, or whatever it is, but it's like something that's not contributing to their life at all. And everything that I'm doing is something that like I want to do and is interesting to me and that's contributing to my life, and, you know, and and then I'm learning something from it or whatever. Even with girls, I mean, every time you interact with a girl, you learn something, you figure out more psychology, you understand why they do, because like it makes sense. Like girls just want to do what they're not supposed to do. Like I feel like they kind of like get off on that. So if you understand that premise and then like the whole competitive piece of it, like the stuff they do, it makes sense if you like understand all that stuff. Still surprising sometimes, but
How do you keep them all happy? Like you must have certain.
that's hard actually. That is actually probably like the most difficult piece of this, because yeah, I mean you gotta like sleep with all these girls. If you don't, then like they get like upset. So there's like definitely a big sexual obligation, I would say, but you have to like if it's I don't know. It's like I mean, it's kind of, we could go off on this tangent for a while, but the girls, I guess, I think it's like 2 to 3 months, and then they usually just like all get too attached. They can't deal with the situation, but up until that point, you have to kind of like, you can't spend too much time with a girl because then that will accelerate that situation. Then she'll get to the point where she's just too invested and she can't deal with the other girls. So you have to spend like a somewhat limited amount of time with them, but enough time that they're like happy, right? And then you have to keep the rotation so that if some of them leave, it doesn't matter. And because you're okay with letting them leave and they can date other guys and they can do whatever they want, it makes them not necessarily want to do that as much as if you told them not to and you tried to control them. So it's a whole crazy dynamic. I don't know. It's pretty much like uncharted territory. I was just talking to this girl about this last night.
Yeah, you should write a book about this.
Yeah.
Are there rules?
The rule is honesty. That's my one rule. It's like, you have to be honest with me and I'll be honest with you. You can lie to your boyfriend, you can lie to whoever the fuck you want, your friends, I don't care. But you have to be honest with me and I'll be honest with you. That's pretty much my one rule. So if she asks me a question, I'm just going to tell her the answer. And, so I tell her, you don't want scary answers, don't ask scary questions, but I'm going to tell you the truth. So, and I think because of that, it's weird. I mean, I think they're so unused to that when they ask you a question, like, oh, like, how many girls have you hooked up with this week? And you tell them the truth. Like at first they're just like, what the fuck? And then a part of them is kind of like a little bit relieved because they're like, fuck, like this guy's like going to be honest with me. Like I can ask him any question. He's going to tell me the truth. And I think that's like really rare. Like I don't think there's many people that are being honest. Like in LA now, they have this whole sugar daddy thing where like the guy's got 5 girlfriends and the girl's got like multiple boyfriends. She's got like 4 dudes paying the same bills. So it's like, if she gets a more expensive apartment, it just means that she just made 3 times more income because 4 guys are paying for that same apartment. You know what I mean? So it's like a whole crazy thing. And they're all lying to each other and it's this whole nutty situation. But yeah, I think the rarest thing is the honesty. And I think the reason the girls are okay with it, because a lot of people ask that, like why the girls are okay with it, is because of the honesty. And I would choose it too. I would choose honesty over the, possible illusion or the hope of monogamy. You know what I mean? Because they ask me a question, they know I'm going to tell them the truth. So I think there's more value in that than in the pretense of like, I think this guy's monogamous, but I don't know, and I'm going to try and catch him cheating. And I always have it in the back of my mind, like, is he doing that? And then 2 years down the line, they find out that the guy's been cheating on them the whole time. And then they end up like an emotional wreck and, they've been deceived and then they have all this animosity. I never really have like any bad breakups or any like, negative fallouts with girls. Like, yeah, sometimes like they'll implode and they'll get upset, but like I never lied to them and they never like got swindled or like sold a bill of goods. So there's never usually like any animosity at all. So, and I think that's kind of a cool thing.